record. Incredible.
We might need to keep an eye on the clock.
World record.
Dan just went the fastest relay split in the history of the sport, going by Jason Lezak, 46 flat.
Zhanle of China is the first man ever to go under 46 seconds in the 100-meter freestyle. It is absolutely astonishing. How did he get it done? How much more speed does he have to go? At the end of the video, I'm going to share with you guys what I think he can go if he swims the perfect race. But before then, let's go ahead and dive right into it and talk about his phenomenal swim. Right now, what I'm showing you guys is the margin of victory he had when he went the 46.40 in the individual 100-meter freestyle at the Paris Olympic Games. He prior held the world record in a 46.80, leading off the 400 freestyle relay in Doha at the World Championships. He clipped off another 0.4 seconds here, and then on the final day of the Olympic Games, he drops a 45.92. Absolutely incredible, shocking the world multiple times over the course of a week. He has a full body length lead, winning by a margin of over a second. So let's dive into the final race, because I already did a full video breaking down this 46.4 swim, so make sure you check that out. But let's talk about this 45.9, and there are a lot of similarities to Jason Lezak's 46.06 split that he had to help Michael Phelps in 2008 win that relay. You can see Team China right there, and it's important to recognize the battle that we have. Pan is about to dive in the water in lane number 5. They're just off the screen. He's going to dive in right there. Remember, this is a medley relay, so butterfly is right before the freestyle. We have a three-way battle between the United States of America, France, and China. Now, heading into this final leg, Pan actually dives into the race behind, and this is really important. Not just because he has more motivation to chase someone down, but he has the opportunity to benefit from a draft. So when you swim and you move through the water that is 800 times more dense than air, you're displacing water. And if you can get the support of someone in front of you, or even if they're in the lane next to you, if they're a little bit ahead and you can dive in at their hip, you're actually going to have an advantage because they're basically going to pull you along the way. So let's go ahead and look at the next progression here, and you can see as they dive in the water, this is Pan right there. Now you can see this is Flo Manadou from France, and he is about a 3/4 body length lead. And this is really, really important, especially as we head into the 50 mark. This right here is United States of America, France, and China. Also really interesting to look at the times. You can see just how fast you are when you enter the water and you do those dolphins underneath the water. You can see Pan clocking 2.6 meters per second. He's already moving faster than the other swimmers, but remember, they're already ahead of them. So you're going to see these numbers actually decrease pretty significantly just a few seconds later. So let's advance the screen, and you can really see what's starting to happen here. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. You can see this is Pan right here. He's now moving quite a bit slower. He went from 2.6 meters per second to still over 2 meters per second, and all of these guys are absolutely flying. I mean, Manadou, we know him from the 50 freestyle. He really has to put it all on the line to be able to maintain, and he is ahead of Pan. So Pan is actually still losing the race at this point. He's not even gaining that much, but what's really important is his position. Look at where he is positioned relative to Flo Manadou. You can see he's about a half a body length behind, which is the perfect position for drafting. Now, it's not really intentional that these guys are trying to draft off each other. It just happens to be the timing of when they dove in. And that's what makes this split even more incredible because of all the things we'll talk about with the pool and whatever. But let's go ahead and keep things moving. Now, into the turn. Now, this is probably one of the most important slides I'm going to have. This one and the next one. Look at Pan. He's moving at 2.05 meters per second. And look at the position. He is now starting to drift away from the draft. Right now, he is basically losing the draft he's getting from Flo Manadou. And we're going to look at the splits after this. And you're going to see he is in the perfect position because he was basically drafting from here to here. He was drafting this entire period, meaning he's going really fast and he's not expending all of his energy as if he was swimming on his own in clean water. If you're going in the opposite direction, if someone's going in the opposite way, it's going to slow you down. But in this case, it's actually helping a little bit. We're not talking about it's going to make you a second faster. This is like 0.1, 0.2 beneficial to have this kind of a draft. And you know what looks really similar to what we're seeing right here with the positioning of these athletes? This is Beijing, and this is Jason Lezak, and this is Alain Bernard for France. This is when Jason Lezak split the 46.06 split. It looks very similar. He's on the lane line. He's drafting Alain Bernard. We'll look at the splits after this, and you can see how beneficial it is when you're riding the wave. Now, I'm not trying to take away how incredible this swim was for Pan. I'm just trying to put in context all the different elements that are in play that you're not going to be able to see just by looking at the results alone. So when you see it here, and you can just look at the two slides, I mean, look how similar this is. Heading into the flags, you see Pan from China. This is 2024 in Paris. This is 2008 in Beijing, and Jason Lezak is pulling a little bit on Alain Bernard, and we'll talk about who these athletes are that they're drafting off, because that is also an important detail that we need to uncover. Now, on the way back to finish up this race, how'd we go the 45? Absolute incredible race. I said this was probably one of the best races of the entire Paris Olympics, because you have the United States, who has never lost this event in Olympic history. I mean, just think about how crazy it is. This team right here never lost this race. You have France. They dove in the lead in the final anchor leg in their home country. They have Leon Marchand did breaststroke on the relay. Maxime Grousset split one of the fastest butterfly legs of all time. And you have Flo Manodou, 4-time medalist in the 50 free, is anchoring the relay. And you have the world record holder in the 100 free chasing both of them down from China to dethrone French team, to dethrone the Americans who've never lost this event. And look at how close it is into the finish. Who's it going to be? Well, we know that it's Pan, because he put together the fastest relay split of all time. And here it is into the finish. You can see what's about to happen. A lot of separation clearly happened in the last 25 meters or so, or this is even just the last 15 meters. Pan pulls ahead, splitting that monster 45 split. We've never seen anyone do it in competition. It looks pretty similar to what happened in 2008. That is Jason Lezak, and that was a 46.06. Now you see the difference. There were only two teams here, so Jason Lezak was going against the French, but it was still the Americans and the French. The only difference is now we add the Chinese. I mean, look how close that is. 16 years apart. That is pretty incredible. Now let's take a look at the splits, because this is where it gets very interesting on a few different layers. So if you take a look at the splits, this is when he went the 46.4. Let me zoom in for you. He went out in a 22.2, came back in a 24.1. Now let's look at the relay, and he had a 0.62 reaction time. That's also going to be important for later on. Now let's look at the individual splits. Now I know there's a lot of numbers here on the screen, but I'm going to try and simplify it. What we're looking at is this guy right here. This is Pan. You can see he had a 0.20 reaction time. If you remember his individual event, right up here, if I can show you that at the same time, this was the individual, and with a relay start, it's going to be faster. So he's 0.42 faster right off the block, right off the feet. He went a 21.57 on the first 50. And if you're wondering what the math is on that, he basically split a 24.35 on that second 50. And when you put it all together, that's a 45.92, which is incredible. Now look at the other two guys. Who is he drafting, right? They ended up getting third, and that is right here. This is Flo Manodou. He went out in a 22.05. So even when you look at Hunter Armstrong and you look at Pan, he outsplit them by a significant amount. However, when you look at Flo Manodou, he was actually not that far behind. He was still holding his weight, and Pan was just itching closer and closer and closer. Now, where this gets ridiculous is when we look at this next slide. Who are the guys that Pan was drafting? Pan was drafting this guy right here. This is Flo Manodou from France. He stands 6 feet 6 inches tall. For all my non-American friends, he's basically almost 2 meters tall, like 1.98 meters tall, and he's about 230 pounds. So he's over 100 kilograms, and basically this is important because the bigger you are, the more of a draft you create because you're displacing more water. So there's more opportunity for someone to actually benefit by being in the lane next to you, and this is very important. Who is this guy? This is Alain Bernard, and this is who Jason Lezak was drafting from France back in 2008. He stands at 6'5", and he's about 215, 220 pounds, about 100 kilograms. So we have these two big guys. I mean, the similarities here between, these are both the Frenchmen and the Americans. In this case, it was the Chinese drafting versus the Americans, but to see these similarities 16 years apart is crazy. And when we look at how Jason Lezak did it, because this is important, I didn't even know this split. Jason Lezak took it out in a 21.2. Oh my God. What? Jason Lezak, he had a 0.19 reaction time, very similar to Pan. Pan was 0.2. But look at that split. Jason Lezak went out even faster than Pan did when he went the 46.0. The difference is Pan was able to hold it together. Actually, I just realized I was looking at Elaine Bernard. If we want to look at Jason Lezak, he took it out in a 21.5 with a .04 reaction time. He came back in a 24.5, and that's how you see the huge differential. But still, Pan was even faster. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is unbelievable. So Jason Lezak had the most incredible, fastest relay split of all time. And now, when you look at Pan right there, he takes the place as fastest relay split of all time. Now, I want you guys to do a little bit of, I'll do the math for you, but I want you to stick with me here because this is so fascinating. What is the fastest, in theory, Pan could have gone? If you take into account his relay start and you take into account the fact that he went out faster than he did in the individual event, you subtract the relay start and you put together the fastest first 50 split he's ever done with the fastest second 50 split he's ever done. Now, I know this isn't possible because you're going to get tired if you go out faster, but stick with me here. We're hypothesizing. So here's the crazy thing, okay? Let's say he goes out in the fastest he's ever gone, which is a 21.57. Now we have to account for the relay start. So we're going to add 0.42. Remember, he went 0.62 on the individual, 0.62, and he had a 0.2 reaction time. You subtract those, and now we have 0.42. So we need to add that over here. So we're going to add 0.42. Now, for those of you who are not as good at math, I'm going to do the math for you. It's a 21.99. That means he's going to go out to the feet in 21.99. Well, how fast is he going to go on the second 50? Well, we know in the individual, he came back in a 24.12. And when you put those two together, let me zoom this in for clear water over here. That would mean Pan would go a 46.11 if he had the perfect race. The fastest out he's ever gone, the fastest on the second 50 he's ever gone. It would be absolutely incredible. Now, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Is this possible? Will we see Pan go 46.11? Now we're talking about a 45 split, and that would be absolutely insane. But I want to hear what you guys think because this was the fastest we've ever seen any human go in a 100-meter freestyle. And I think there's a lot more that these athletes can go. As soon as one person does it, multiple people will follow. This is called the Roger Bannister effect. It's going to be insane. Now, if you guys want to see how swimmers go fast, make sure you're subscribed here on the channel. This is what I talk about. Also, check out my newest book, 101 Ways to Swim Faster. It's available on Amazon, and it'll be linked down below. And if you want to see my full breakdown on Pan going a 46.4 in the individual race, make sure you check out that video right over here. I'll see you over there, and happy swimming.